Wife's heartwarming performance at ex's wedding reveals incredible hidden truth. Guests were moved. The sun streamed through the stained glass windows of St. Mary's, casting brilliant hues over friends and family as they gathered for an event that buzzed with hushed conversations and knowing glances. Sarah's heart pounded as she watched Jake stand at the altar, a smile plastered across his face, radiant in his crisp suit. She looked down, trying to ignore the flickering memories of their life together, each one like a delicate stitch in the fabric of their shared history. Nostalgia washed over her as she saw the little boy they had dreamed of having, now a young man standing across the aisle, nervously adjusting his tie. It was bittersweet. Jake was about to marry someone new, and all she could feel was the weight of longing and loss. As the ceremony unfolded, a shiver of courage ignited within her, a spark fueled by years of dreams dashed yet unforgotten. At that moment, she felt the microphone numb her palm. With a deep breath, she stepped forward. The crowd hushed. They had come to witness love's continuity, but the emotions swirling around her felt raw and alive. After a shaky start, her voice floated over the crowd. Where did we go wrong? Was it the dreams we lost or the laughter we forgot? Each note rang with heartache and hope, resonating in her chest as those words revealed vulnerabilities they had both shared. She could see Jake's brow furrow as he felt the weight of their past. Interwoven with the audience's hushed breaths was the undeniable power of her performance, a candid reflection of love's resilience and its heartbreaking loss. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she connected the lifeblood of her melody with the audience, a shadow in the back drew her gaze. Mr. Thompson, the town's recluse. His eyes glimmered with unspoken joys and sorrows. Sarah could feel the audience leaning in, captivated not only by her memories but also the collective whispers surrounding Mr. Thompson's mysterious past. As the final notes reverberated, something in the air shifted, an electric revelation. Gasps and murmurs spread through the congregation like wildfire. Mr. Thompson was Jake's biological father, a truth suffocated by years of shame and judgment. Waves of emotion rippled through the room, bonding strangers in shared disbelief. Jake stood frozen, grappling with the revelation, his once jubilant demeanor now chaotic with confrontation. Sarah leaned back, breathless and unsure, as her song had ignited a powerful reckoning that intertwined their stories. Every heart in the room felt like it hung in suspension, teetering between what was lost and what could be salvaged. It was an unusual wedding, morphed into an opportunity for healing within this tight-knit community. The air thickened with possibilities, yet Sarah was paralyzed by the weight of her unspoken journey. Could this be the turning point for them all? Would love and forgiveness find a way to weave through the fractures of their past? The tension simmered, leaving Sarah with her own unrecognized hopes swirling like confetti. She felt a flicker of courage. Perhaps, just maybe, fragmented dreams could stitch together anew. The silence that followed Sarah's performance buzzed with unspoken words. The air was still, charged with shock and wonder. People exchanged glances, some lifted their hands to touch their mouths in disbelief. It felt like time had momentarily stopped, as if everyone was recalibrating the trajectory of their lives. Jake's face softened, the tension easing from his brow. His eyes wandered, not only searching Sarah's face for answers but drifting towards Mr. Thompson. It was almost as if a magnet had drawn Jake closer to the truth of his past. Sarah's heart raced. Would he finally confront the man who had been nothing to him and everything to her? Mr. Thompson stood at the back, hands shoved deep into the pockets of his long coat, shoulders slightly hunched as if preparing for a storm. A strange mix of pride and sadness flickered across his weathered face. He was a man burdened by choices he never made, by a history he had tried to outrun. The congregation buzzed, conversation sparking everywhere, merging disbelief with empathy. His father. whispered a woman from the front row. How could he have kept that from Jake? Replied another, her voice heavy with judgment. Amidst the soft murmurs, Sarah felt the urge to retreat. She wasn't sure if she had helped or hurt the situation. The musical notes still echoed in her ears, a bittersweet reminder of what could have been. But then, something unexpected happened. Jake broke free from the fruitful grasp of confusion and took a hesitant step toward Mr. Thompson. His heart raced visibly in his chest, vulnerability shining through as he lifted a hand, wavering between rage and concern. Why didn't you tell me? He called out, his voice wavering, exposed like tender-skinned damar. Thompson drew a deep breath, the weight of decades pressing down on him. He didn't rush to explain, instead, he took a moment, his gaze soothing the noise around them. I wanted to protect you, he finally said, his voice rich with emotion. Being your father doesn't define me, Jake. But it does define you. I thought giving you a chance at a better life would make everything easier. Sarah held her breath. The atmosphere shifted into something almost hopeful, a bridge formed with shared pain and potential for healing instead of condemnation. Could this father and son confrontation mend broken ties? Would the truth weave their relationship anew? Jake's eyes glistened, a cocktail of emotions swirling within. Unlike before, when hurt had heavily crowded him, there seemed to be a spark, perhaps a flicker of understanding, the first step toward acceptance. Did you ever care? Jake's voice trembled but held a steely resolve. I loved you from a distance, Mr. Thompson replied earnestly, anguish meeting sincerity. Every decision I made was because I loved your mother. The room trembled with the power of their exchange. Tears startled Sarah, spilling over as she recalled the love they both still bore, one fueled by joy, the other by sorrow. Would their stories intertwine in a way that could heal these long-embedded rifts? Suddenly, the tension shifted again. Sarah's phone buzzed unexpectedly in her pocket. She hesitated, the moment too fragile to disrupt, but curiosity nudged her fingers to check. The screen lit up with a message that sent shivers down her spine. Get ready for more truths, it read ominously. Could there be more layers to this tangled narrative? What other secrets lingered just beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? Sarah steadied her breath, grappling with the unknown future that loomed ahead like an unopened door. The room buzzed with energy, but Sarah could feel the weight of anticipation pressing down. She had just unearthed a truth she never intended to reveal, and now her heart raced with the possibility of more hidden secrets coming to light. The low murmur of the crowd felt both thrilling and terrifying as she shifted her gaze between Jake and Mr. Thompson. They were at a crossroads, so close to healing but equally vulnerable to more pain. Jake swallowed hard, his emotions dancing like the flickering candle flames around them. You loved my mother, he murmured, the words tinged with a mixture of resentment and yearning. Does she know the truth? She never asked, Mr. Thompson replied, his voice barely above a whisper. And I never volunteered it. I thought I was protecting you both. A knot formed in Jake's throat. The air thickened with tension as he searched for the right words, each thought like a heavy stone threatening to sink him deeper into uncertainty. Did it ever occur to you that keeping secrets doesn't mean keeping us safe? What if it tore us apart instead? Sarah's heart ached for Jake. His fight against his father's choices cleaved him in two. The conflict was raw and palpable. All around them, onlookers watched with bated breath. A woman in the front row, her eyes glistening, caught Sarah's gaze. She understood the gravity of the moment, the wound of silence that had lingered too long. I need to know the whole story, Jake finally said, determination etched in his features. If you loved her, if you loved me, then tell me everything. The truth hung between them like a fragile thread, ready to snap at the slightest tug. Thompson's expression hardened, and in that moment, Sarah realized that revealing the complete truth was not just about his love for Jake's mother. It involved unveiling demons long tucked away. It's complicated, she wasn't supposed to find out. Did it ever occur to you that being honest would have been a better choice? Jake shot back, anger and hurt mingled in his voice. Now all we have is this shattered reality. I can't take back what I did, Mr. Thompson's voice cracked, betraying the scars of his own regrets. Sarah, feeling the weight of their emotions, stepped forward. Maybe we can start with small truths and rebuild from there. The thought hung in the air, fragile yet hopeful. As she spoke, her phone buzzed again, pulling her focus back into urgency. What now? She thought. She couldn't check it this time, the moment belonged to Jake and Mr. Thompson. But the words echoed in her mind. Get ready for more truths. Perhaps they could break through all the turmoil, not just reveal it, but heal it completely. Just tell me about my mother, Jake pleaded, the raw edge of curiosity tightening around his heart. Mr. Thompson nodded, though his eyes betrayed layers of pain. I owe you that, at least, he murmured, stepping closer, the gulf between them still vast but less insurmountable. Sarah took a deep breath, realization dawning on her. Their shared hope teetered on the brink of something powerful. If they embraced each truth, no matter how painful, maybe just maybe they could forge a new path together. But before Mr. Thompson could respond, another figure appeared at the edge of the room. A woman wrapped in a long coat, her expression serious, moved toward them. With every step, Sarah's heart raced, a reminder that the story was far from over. Jake, there is something you need to know, she said, locking eyes with him. What more could this stranger reveal? What new twist could possible chaos bring to the fragile balance they were striving to maintain? Jake turned toward the woman, his expression a mix of confusion and apprehension. The room seemed to still, the air thick with uncertainty as everyone awaited the announcement that hung between them like a fragile promise. Who are you? He asked, his voice steady but edged with anxiety. She took a deep breath, and her dark eyes held a storm of emotions. I'm Claire. I knew your mother, well. We worked together. Her gaze flickered to Mr. Thompson, a hint of understanding passing between them before returning to Jake. There are things you might not know. Things she never told you. The crowd shifted slightly, the tension palpable as Jake's pulse quickened. What do you mean? After your mother passed, Claire continued, her voice soft yet charged, she left a letter for you. Jake felt the world shift on its axis. A letter? Something tangible from his mother? Hope and dread collided inside him. You never gave it to me. Jake turned to Mr. Thompson, the anger rising like a tide. You kept it from me. It wasn't my place, Mr. Thompson replied, his voice strained. I thought it was for her to tell you, not me. Maybe it was for both of you. He shot back, his words cutting through the tension like a knife. Where is it? Claire stepped forward, her hands raised in a calming gesture. It's here. I wanted to bring it today, but I didn't want to disrupt anything until I knew the time was right. Right for what? A wave of frustration washed over Jake. What if it was something important? What if it changes everything for me? Sarah watched, her heart aching for Jake. She wanted to scream, to tell him to take a moment, to breathe. This revelation could either heal or further shatter what was left of his memories. Claire nodded. I understand how monumental this is. It isn't just a letter, Jake. It's a piece of her heart, and there is something in there about your father too. The murmurs in the room intensified, curiosity mingling with sympathy as Jake's expression darkened. About my father. He shook his head as if trying to physically dispel the ache tightening in his chest. You're saying he could have known about this? That she spoke about him to her last breath? Yes. Claire's voice softened further. She wanted you to understand that love isn't straightforward. It can be complicated, messy, and filled with regret. But it's also powerful. She wanted you to find your peace. Jake stood frozen, the weight of her words settling heavy on his shoulders, weighing down everything he thought he understood about love and loss. He felt Sarah's presence beside him, an anchor in the storm of emotions swirling inside him. But then he realized the crowd watched with eyes of expectation, waiting for him to respond, waiting for the next move from either him or Mr. Thompson. Can I see it? Jake's voice was almost a whisper, cracking under the gravity of his request. Please. Claire nodded slowly and lifted a small envelope from the pocket of her coat, holding it out to Jake like a fragile gift. As he reached for it, his hand trembled. He could feel the weight of everything it represented: the love, the loss, the truth. He took the envelope, turning it over in his hands as if it were a fragile relic from the past. What else lies within these words? He wondered, facing the prospect of hidden corners of his family's past coming to light, but before he could pull the letter out, Claire spoke again. There's still more to tell, Jake. I don't think you're ready for everything yet. The warning lingered in the air, thickening the tension around them. What more is there? Jake demanded, stepping closer. What else could possibly come from this? Claire locked eyes with him, a tempest brewing in her expression. What you find in your mother's letter is just the beginning. Jake's heart raced. What could she mean? What other truths lay buried, waiting to be discovered? Jake's fingers brushed against the delicate envelope, the weight of it grounding him even as anticipation and anxiety spiraled within. He looked from the letter to Claire, the air buzzing with unspoken truths. What do you mean by just the beginning? Claire's expression turned serious. Your mother had layers, Jake. She faced a lot in her life: darkness and light. Yes, there's a letter for you, but it's tied to a bigger narrative. One that involves your father, yes, but also others. People who loved her, who shaped the choices she made. Jake felt a knot forming in his stomach. Others? You mean there's more than just my dad? Claire nodded, her eyes softening with empathy. Exactly. Understanding your mother means understanding the relationships that defined her, the ones she held close and even the ones she tried to distance herself from. I don't understand, Jake said, his voice strained. Why conceal these relationships? Why not share this with me before? Your mother was protective of you, Claire explained. She wanted to shield you from the messy realities of her past. She thought it was best to let you remember her in a certain light. And you think this is what she would have wanted? To reveal it now? The bite in Jake's voice surprised him, but he couldn't help it. The roller coaster of emotions was becoming unbearable. Claire's eyes softened, a glimmer of compassion visible. Jake, sooner or later, we face the truth. Even if it's painful, it can also be healing. What you learn could change your understanding of love: your mother's love, your father's, and your own. Suddenly, that ache in his chest grew sharper. All these words were wrapping around him like a vice, squeezing tighter. He glanced at Sarah, whose eyes now glimmered with an understanding he could not yet embrace. Jake, Sarah whispered, stepping closer, whatever happens, you're not alone. We can go through this together. The warmth of her presence broke through the cloud of doubt, allowing a sliver of hope to shine through. But it didn't erase the fears weighing down his heart. He held the envelope tighter, feeling the pulse of uncertainty. All right, Jake finally said, forcing himself to breathe. I want to read it. But I need to know what else is there. What can't I even begin to understand yet? Claire glanced over her shoulder at the gathered crowd, sensing their collective tension. She discreetly stepped back, allowing Jake and Sarah a moment alone. This will be difficult, she said gently, but sometimes the hardest truths are the ones that lead to deeper understanding. Jake swallowed, feeling sweat prickling at his brow. He tore his gaze away from Claire and stared down at the envelope. Ready? Sarah asked, her voice full of encouragement. Taking a deep breath, Jake nodded. This letter, this pivotal piece of his mother's heart, had the potential to change everything: his past, his identity, and maybe even his future. With trembling fingers, he gently opened the envelope, knowing that once he crossed this threshold, there was no going back. The first word swept over him like a tide, each stroke of ink unraveling a world he never knew. And when he stumbled upon her voice, warm and achingly familiar, it ignited something deep inside him. But then, as he read further, a new question arose, burning with urgency. What was she hiding? The silence around him grew deafening, and just as he prepared to turn to Claire for answers, a sudden thought pierced through the chaos of emotions: was knowing the truth worth the potential pain it could inflict? Jake's heart raced as he continued to read. The words danced on the page, each sentence a thread pulling at the fabric of his understanding. Conversations he had never been part of began to stitch together a tapestry of his mother's life. She wrote about moments of joy, laughter shared with old friends, and a love that seemed to pulse through her every line. But then came the darker turns, whispers of choices made in desperation, connections that felt like anchors but were often chains. What was she really going through? He thought, eyes flicking to Sarah, searching her expression for some kind of reassurance. Her brows were knit together, a soft frown of concern, but also a spark of courage. The resolve in her gaze showed that she too felt this was a defining moment. His breath hitched as he pushed further into the letter. With every paragraph, a new name emerged, a new figure from his mother's past that he had never heard of. There were hints of friendships lost, heartaches endured, and love affairs that had left lasting impacts. And then, abruptly, that familiar emotional quiet filled the air around him, punctuated only by Jake's muffled breaths. "Jake, are you all right?" Sarah asked, her voice a whisper in the stillness. He tried to respond, but words failed him. Instead, he turned the page, desperate to find clarity, but instead felt like he was thrust deeper into confusion. "Who is this person?" he muttered under his breath as a name leapt from the page. "Lily." "Lily?" Sarah questioned, leaning closer to read over his shoulder. "Yeah, there's something about her. It's like my mom felt." But he stopped, unable to articulate the swirl of emotion. "She felt what?" Sarah pressed gently, her hand resting on his back, a steadying presence in the storm within. He swallowed hard, forcing his voice to break through the layers of disbelief. "She felt close to Lily, but it sounds complicated. I don't even know who she is." Maybe she'll explain," Sarah suggested quietly, leaning in as if the words on the page were too precious to disturb. And there it was, another sentence that felt like a punch in the gut, a plea for forgiveness, a desire for connection that had been stifled by time and choices made. The ache of longing filled him. "I was scared," the letter read, "scared that letting people in would expose the cracks in my heart. But I never wanted to lose what we had, Jake. Know that you were always my beacon in the dark." Jake's fingers trembled on the paper as he processed each line. A realization began to dawn: his mother wasn't just a figure in his life, she was a complete person with hopes, fears, and a rich history of her own that was intertwined with others. Who is she trying to reach out to? He wondered. What did this Lily represent? What secrets would unravel if he delved deeper? "Jake, you need to tell Claire," Sarah nudged gently, sensing the rising tension in his aura. There was an urgency there, a need to understand the bridges his mother had built and burned. "Yeah, but what if I find something dark?" Jake said, fear crawling up his spine. "Then you'll face it together," she assured him. They both felt the weight of the letter pulsating in Jake's hands, urging him to decide. With a deep breath, he prepared to find Claire. He needed answers, even if they came laced with pain. As he stood up to make his move, the weight of what lay ahead pressed onto his chest like a storm cloud ready to break. He had cracked the surface but was terrified of the ocean beneath. "Maybe finding out the truth means losing the comfort I had," he muttered, his voice barely a whisper. That lingering question followed him as he stepped toward Claire: "What if knowing the truth changes everything I thought I knew about love?" He took a step forward, the letter secure in his grasp, the next chapter of his life demanding to be uncovered. Jake's footsteps echoed against the hardwood floor as he moved through the house. Each step felt heavy with expectation and unresolved anguish. The letter still burned in his hands, a physical testament to the complicated legacy his mother had left behind. He felt Sarah's presence behind him, a steadfast anchor in tumultuous waters. "Jake, wait," she called softly, trying to catch up. He paused, his heart pounding. "What if she didn't want me to find out?" he said, fear threading through every word. "What if she wanted to keep all this from me?" Wouldn't she have destroyed the letter if that were the case? Sarah offered, her voice laced with reason. Maybe this is her way of telling you she needed you to know, even if the truth is hard to digest. He nodded slowly, sensing the truth in her words. Yet the uncertainty coiled tighter in his stomach like a snake ready to strike. He turned and walked into the living room, where Claire sat, the glow from the lamp catching her features. She looked up, surprise crossing her face. "Hey, Jake." She greeted, but her voice faltered at the sight of his expression. "What's wrong? Can we talk?" he asked, desperation creeping into his tone. "Of course. What's going on?" she replied, concern evident in her eyes. As he settled onto the couch across from her, anxiety bubbled up inside like boiling water. He took a deep breath, glancing at Sarah for support. She simply nodded, urging him silently to be brave. "Claire, I found something." "It's about my mom," he began, his voice trembling as he fished the letter from his pocket. "She wrote about someone named Lily." I don't understand." "It's about a part of her life I never knew, and I think I need you to hear it." Claire reached for the letter, her fingertips brushing against the aged paper. As he handed it over, Jake watched her expression shift, concern turning to intrigue. "Lily," she murmured, brows furrowing. "Jake, who is she?" "Someone from my mom's past." There are feelings in this letter, a complicated connection," he confessed, swallowing against the surge of emotions. "Mom was scared, Claire. Scared to let people in. I mean, it makes me wonder if her hesitation to talk about her life was because she was hiding things from us." Claire's eyes widened as she read on, and Jake held his breath, fearing what she might discover. The words spilled forth, revealing layers of his mother's heart, layers that were all too familiar yet foreign to Jake. He leaned forward, captivated and terrified by what he was initiating. When Claire finally finished, silence enveloped the room, thick with gravity. "Jake," she started slowly, each syllable heavy with meaning. "Your mom she loved deeply, didn't she?" "Yeah, I think so, but it's messy. There's longing, heartbreak, and I don't know what to make of it," he admitted, running a hand through his hair. "What if this Lily was someone vital to her? What if knowing her story unravels everything I thought I knew about my family?" Claire set the letter down gently, meeting his eyes. "There's a chance it could. But it could also bring you closer to understanding her, to understanding yourself. You owe it to your mom to uncover this, don't you?" Her words struck him like lightning. The choice laid bare in front of him: continued comfort in ignorance or the uncertain path toward truth. "I can't keep this to myself," he whispered, resolve building in his chest. "I have to find out who Lily is and what she meant to my mom." At that moment, a faint tremor of hope crept into Jake's heart. Maybe this journey would lead to more than just pain, it could reveal connection. "Let us start looking into it, together," Claire proposed, determination lighting her eyes. Jake smiled, feeling a flicker of warmth spread within him, ready to embrace the unknown. "Okay. Together." But as he prepared to dive deeper into the mysteries of his mother's life, a single sentence echoed in his mind, tinged with uncertainty. "What if discovering all this not only changes my past but reshapes who I am in the present?" The weight of that question lingered in the air, leaving a haunting curiosity and an ache for understanding. Jake sat back on the couch, the light flickering softly around them. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken questions and shadows of the past. He couldn't shake the feeling that the door to his mother's secret life was now ajar, and the more he peered inside, the more he realized how much he didn't know. Where do we even start? He looked between Sarah and Claire, trying to anchor himself amidst the uncertainty swirling in his heart. "We could check the family albums," Sarah suggested. "Maybe there is something there, a photo, a clue, anything." Jake felt a small rush of excitement at the idea, hopeful that these old images could provide context. "Yeah, let us do that. I remember Mom had boxes of photographs in the attic." They all moved toward the attic stairs, the wooden steps creaking underfoot. Jake led the way, directing his focus toward something tangible amidst the emotional flux. As he reached the top, the musty scent of forgotten items filled the air, and dim light from a small window danced across dusty boxes. "Here," he said, reaching for a box labeled Memories. Dust swirled as they pulled the lid off, revealing a treasure trove of photographs, mementos, and letters that he pulled out stack after stack of faded images, flipping through them one by one. There were family gatherings, birthday celebrations, and snapshots of his childhood. Each image tugged at his heartstrings, evoking layers of nostalgia and longing. "It's crazy how much we forget," Claire murmured, looking over his shoulder. "Yeah," but Jake hesitated, feeling the weight of the letter still fresh in his mind. "There has to be something here about Lily." Just as he was about to lose hope, he stopped on an old photograph. A young woman smiled brightly, arms wrapped around his mother in a carefree moment. Jake's heart raced, the resemblance was uncanny. He squinted at the date scribbled on the back, the name Lily written in his mother's unmistakable handwriting. "That's her," he breathed, voice barely above a whisper. Sarah leaned in, eyes wide. "That's Lily?" "I think so." A kaleidoscope of emotions crashed over Jake: joy, confusion, longing, each more powerful than the last. The photograph felt alive, a connection to a part of his mother that was hidden. What was her relationship with Mom? A sudden desire to know who this woman was and why his mother had guarded her memory overwhelmed him. The picture painted 1,000 possibilities, and Jake felt a hunger for the truth settle into his bones. "Let's keep looking," Claire said, encouragement thrumming through her voice. "There might be more." They continued their search, unraveling snippets of a life Jake had never fully understood. Each item seemed to pulse with secrets, stories waiting to be told. As they sifted through notes, postcards, and other keepsakes, Jake felt the threads of his mother's life weaving tighter into his own. Yet, with each revelation, doubt still shadowed his thoughts. Could he handle what they might discover? Their explorations took a turn when Sarah unearthed a small, red leather-bound journal hidden beneath a stack of photographs. "Jake, look at this," she said, her voice tinged with awe. His hands trembled as he reached for it, every fiber in him yearning to unlock its contents. He opened the cover and the familiar scent of aged paper filled his nose. Handwritten pages told stories of dreams, fears, and an undeniable connection to a person he was just starting to know. "This might be it," he murmured, feeling the weight of possibility. But as he flipped through the pages, his heart pounded harder. The words were intimate and raw, filled with emotion that longed for understanding. Yet, as he read, he realized that some truths might hit harder than expected. What if Lily meant more to her than we thought? Jake said, the sense of impending revelation creeping in. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together," Claire reassured, sliding her hand over his. The air crackled with anticipation as they prepared for the stories waiting within those pages. Jake's heart raced, caught between fear and an insatiable desire for clarity. "Ready for this?" he asked, glancing at the two of them. "More than ever," Sarah replied, squeezing his hand. As they delved deeper into the journal, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The truth might lead them to unexpected places, and he braced himself for the journey ahead. But as he turned the page, something unsettling caught his eye: a name he didn't recognize faintly scribbled at the margin. Who was this, and how did they fit into the tangled web of his mother's past? Jake's fingers trembled as he traced the unfamiliar name. It felt like coming across a ghost in the pages of a life he thought he understood, a name that might unlock yet another door to the world of secrets surrounding his mother. "Who's James Foster?" he read aloud, eyebrows furrowing in confusion. The name echoed in the dim attic, almost mocking him. Why would Mom mention him here? Sarah leaned in, her interest piqued. "Do you think he has someone she dated? Or maybe a friend?" "Could be," Jake replied, doubt creeping in. "But why include his name like this? It doesn't feel casual." Claire, scanning the journal for more context, paused when she reached a subsequent entry. Here, it says something about a trip to the lake in '98. She looked up. That is shortly before she moved here. Maybe this James was part of her life before us, Jake speculated, his voice gaining strength. Before everything changed. We need to find out why she wrote this, Sarah said, her voice steady. Let us dig deeper. As they continued to read, Jake felt an emotional weight shifting in the atmosphere. The entries alternated between joy and sadness, detailing moments that revealed a woman living vibrantly yet hiding crucial pieces of her heart. The journal spoke of shared laughter, late-night conversations, and a love that seemed to fade, leaving only fragments behind that he swallowed hard, the realization hitting him. His mother wasn't just a figure in his life, she had a rich tapestry of experiences he'd never acknowledged. This is more than we thought, he said softly. It's not just about Lily. It's about the life Mom built around her. Like she was trying to protect us from something, Claire suggested, her brow pinched. But from what? Just then, a gust of wind rattled the attic window, sending a shiver through Jake. The chilly air felt like a signal, urging him to confront the truth. He turned another page. A pressed flower fell out and brushed against his hand, delicate yet resilient, holding secrets of its own. What if we're too focused on the past to understand the present? Claire said, looking contemplative. What if Mom kept these things to protect herself, and in turn, lost herself in the process? Jake stared at the flower, feeling a sense of connection. Or maybe, she was battling fears she didn't want to pass on to us. We need to piece this together not just for her but for ourselves. A silence enveloped them as they reflected on the two sides of their mother's story, the mother they adored and the woman who had suffered unseen struggles. Shaking off the heaviness, Sarah pointed toward a set of letters tucked further back in the journal. What are those? With trembling hands, Jake retrieved what seemed to be correspondence. The envelopes were worn and stamped from places he couldn't recognize. His heart raced as he opened one carefully, and there it was, the inked words revealing emotions too raw to ignore a love letter. As he read the first few lines, his breath halted. It wasn't just poetic musings, it was a declaration of love. But this is to James, he stammered, his world tilting. What does that mean? Claire asked, her eyes widening. I think Mom had feelings for him, Jake replied, struggling to process the implications. This wasn't just a friend. He meant something to her. The three of them sat in the dust and shadows, the weight of layered truths crashing down upon them. The journal now offered a glimpse of a mother they had never known, and her freedom was intertwined with secrets wrapped in love. What if there is more to her story? What if we're on the brink of uncovering something monumental? Sarah whispered, the intensity in her voice sharp. Jake nodded, heart pounding. They had opened a door, and who knew how deep the rabbit hole went? I have to know more, he said, determination swelling within him. Whatever it takes. But as he carefully folded the love letter, Jake's eyes fell on another faint note scrawled at the bottom of the page, a date marked ominously close to his own birthday, the past colliding violently with the present. What happened that year, and how did it shape his mother's life forever? Jake's heartbeat quickened with a mix of dread and longing. This journey was taking a turn he never expected, and he was more ready than ever to face whatever truths lay ahead. The atmosphere in the attic shifted, filled with a charged anticipation. Each revelation tugged at Jake's heart, leading him closer to the woman his mother had once been, an intricate tapestry woven from love and pain. As he sat there, enveloped in the shadows of the past, he felt a surge of determination. The journey was no longer just about uncovering secrets, it was about claiming his identity, embracing the complicated legacy left behind. Okay, let us keep going, he rallied, hope igniting within him. We're in this together. Sarah and Claire exchanged glances, their faces illuminated by the soft light that spilled through the attic window. This was not just a mission to dig up memories, it was a chance to heal. As they continued to sift through the letters, they found more pieces of his mother's heart. Each letter brought them closer to understanding not just Lily but James too. Jake could feel the pieces coming together as if the universe conspired to shed light on his family's shadowed past. "Here," Sarah said, her voice quivering with excitement. She picked up another envelope, marked with a date that made Jake's breath catch. "This one looks different." Jake leaned forward, heart racing as she opened it. As the fragile paper unfolded, he felt as if the entire world paused, the anticipation thick enough to cut. It wasn't just another letter, it was a confession, a glimpse into a decision that shaped everything that followed. His mother wrote about fears of failure, of being discovered. "I feared losing my place in your life, Jake," the letter read. "There were moments when the choices I made felt unbearable, and I was terrified of what you would think." Jake's heart ached. His mother had blurred the lines between love and protection, and now, standing in this melancholic sanctuary of memories, she was providing answers, finally revealing the turmoil beneath her quiet exterior. Tears welled in his eyes. "She carried so much," he said, voice thick with emotion. "It's more complex than I ever knew." The room around them felt sacred, each breath heavy with empathy. Sarah squeezed his hand, offering silent support, while Claire nodded, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Mom was trying to protect me from the truths she thought were too painful," Jake reflected, the weight of revelation settling deep within him, but as he read further, another name cried out from the page, a name that revealed overlapping connections that rocked his heart, a reference to an important event that intertwined lives, a family gathering, a potential meeting that never happened. The name surfaced again, Lily. It dangled like a thread yet to be pulled. "Jake," Claire said softly, breaking his reverie. "We need to find a way to connect with Lily. If she has ties to your mother, she could shed light on everything." Jake nodded fervently. "Yes. We need to know who she is, how she fits into this." And so, the mission transformed. They would not only uncover memories, they would reach out to those who could stitch the missing pieces back together. With renewed purpose, they resolved to track down Lily. As they stepped back into the world, the sunlight warmed their backs, illuminating possibilities ahead. They decided to start by visiting the library, searching through old town records that might lead them to Lily. Each step felt invigorating, a leap into uncharted territory. In the days that followed, Jake dove headfirst into research, fueled by an urgency he didn't entirely understand. With Sarah and Claire by his side, seeking knowledge felt like stepping into his mother's shoes, learning to navigate the fears and joys she had kept hidden away. Finally, they unearthed a lead that sent Jake's spirits soaring, an address. It was an old house, tucked away on the outskirts, near the lake mentioned in the journal. Heart pounding, they decided to visit, embracing the uncertainty ahead. When they reached the site of his mother's memories, the air felt heavy with time. As they stepped inside the quaint abode, memories began to seep from the very walls. They knocked, breathless with anticipation. An older woman appeared, her eyes alive with recognition. "Jake?" she whispered, her voice trembling like a tentatively plucked string. As she stepped aside, the sun glinting off her silver hair, Jake could see shadows of familiarity. "You're Lily," he breathed, realization washing over him. "Yes," she replied, emotion sweeping through her. "Your mother, the bond we shared. I have so much to tell you." And in that moment, Jake realized he was not alone anymore in this journey. His heart surged, ready for the story to unfold. This was a meeting destined to reshape his understanding of love, not just in the past but for the future. In that moment, a feeling of profound closure settled over him. He was ready to embrace every truth, no matter how complicated or painful. Whatever awaited them would only deepen his roots and, perhaps, ignite a new path toward understanding, connection, and love. And as Jake stepped over the threshold, he knew it was time to uncover the past, to carry his mother's spirit forward, embedding every fragment of truth into the fabric of his own heart. You need to subscribe now to keep up with this incredible journey of transformation and discovery. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every little action counts, Tell us your reactions and feelings about the ending in the comments. Your thoughts matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing transformation. Let us spread the love and healing together.